A former librarian, LaWanda Felder began her career as a 911 operator in 2023. A change in professions, to be sure. In that time, LaWanda has continued to bring her unique skills, attributes, and personality to helping her community. But how did she make this career change? And what drew her into the calling? All these questions and more we will ask her today. This is Lifeline. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lifeline 911 with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I'm your co-host, Gary, and today we are joined by a very special guest. LaWanda, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. I'm glad to be here. Sorry about Miss Bella. She's decided to be very happy and people.
That's perfectly
Nice.
fine. Perfectly
Yep.
fine. Yeah, we're very thankful that you could finally join us. We've been wanting you on for quite a while now to kind of talk about how your career got changed and what brought you into 911 as a profession.
Before I worked in libraries, I before I came down to Texas in 2016. Before that, I was in libraries. And in Detroit Public Library. I worked for Detroit Public Library for about 1996 to 2016. So what is that? How many years is that?
20.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. See, my old brain. Anyway, 96 to 2016. And when I came down to Texas, I went from Detroit Public Library to Austin Public Library. So, um, as you can imagine, that's about, and so 2016 to 2023, that's 7 years in
Mhm.
Austin Public Library. So we're talking about 27 years working in libraries. I wasn't a librarian, but I had many different hats, um, from Detroit Public Library moving down to Austin. So I started out as we used to call it, student library assistant. And basically, I was the one that schlepped the materials back and forth for everyone. We had a little joke. We would say we were SLAs, right? Because we were schlepping all the materials for everyone.
Nice.
Okay. Um, and then from there, I became a junior clerk. You know, basically, I was doing the reporting and things for, at that time, we had a movie division. And this was back in the days of
Wow.
VHS, right?
Wow.
VHS and
Yes.
Blockbuster still existed. Main competition was Blockbuster. This was during the VHS days and the transitioning into movies and DVDs and all of that. And then from SLA to student library assistant to junior clerk, I became a clerk. And that's what you generally see when you walk into a library. You'll see at the front desk essentially a clerk.
Hmm.
And they're the ones who check out videos and handle any monies and all of this. And I did this for a long time. Um, and then they started what they called a technical training assistant. And technical training assistants were people who did the light, um, basically, they were the first line of tech support at the different various branches. And those technical training support people basically had a group of branches that they were handling. Detroit had, at that point in time, 26 libraries in their system, 26 libraries. And so each technical training assistant may have 3 or 4 branches that they were over. And we provided classes for the public. I facilitated over 1,000 different uh, classes, varying classes like basic computer skills to uh, PowerPoint, like teaching people PowerPoint, Excel, basically the Windows suite. And then basic computer skills like people who had never touched a computer before. And my age ranges were anywhere from a 8-year-old to a literal like 90-year-old. He had never used a computer. He was one of my best students, actually. He was very interested in learning, and he took the classes from basic computer skills to email all the way up to PowerPoint. So that was, and of course, light technical support. So when computers issues would go down in the branch, I would be the first person that would handle computer issues, things with the printer, things with the copier. If we were bringing in new proprietary software for the staff to learn, we were taught by the vendor, and then we would do the teaching to the staff to get them. So that's what we did. And I did that for a while, and then I said, I'm tired of the snow. And so I was like, I'm tired of, it's like, that's one thing about Texas, the you get a light dusting of snow, and it's like Armageddon. No, shut down everything.
Yes.
Uh, right. And then with Detroit, though, I could be up to my knees in snow, and they're like, well, we'll give you an extra 2 hours to get to work. Just dig yourself out and
Wow.
get here. And I was tired of that. And so my mom had moved down here. Previously, she worked for the city. And then I my grandmother had passed away at that point, and I said, well, there's really nothing keeping me in Detroit, and I'm tired of the snow. And I said, I have family down in Texas, so I'm gonna make that move. And so I at that time, Austin was trying to expand their computer program. Like they had finally gotten a lot of, small little banks of computers in each of their branches. And it's funny because Austin had a very similar in size, I think almost exactly, library system. So it was 26, I think, 26 branches. I don't know if it's still 26. I think some have been closed for renovations or what have you, but it was like Detroit 26, Austin 26. So it was just like, but they were expanding their computer system, and they basically, I had, they had regional managers here, and all four regionals. They had South, West, North, and East, and I was interviewed by them unbeknownst to me. And I learned this later with the regional manager. The reason why the regional managers were interviewing me was because they were all vying for me to be over in their jurisdiction or what have you
Mm.
because of the computer component. So they were like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be my computer guru person for my library." And
Nice.
that was because every time I would tell, I said, "Yeah, I got interviewed by all four," and they were like, "Really?" And she told me later that was the reason. She's like, "And I won." She was really great. It
Okay.
was funny, but
So so yeah, so you had 27 years of experience with uh the Dewey Decimal System. Obviously, you're a master at that, I'm sure. As well as interacting with the public in terms of being the cleric in front and taking the books in, organizing them, putting those together, and solving computer issues, which thankfully you don't
Oh
have to do
yeah,
anymore, I'm sure.
before the library I worked for, it's now defunct. But I don't know if you all remember Computer City.
Yes.
Do you all
CompUSA?
remember
Yeah.
Computer City? And this was the days of the big box, you had Computer City, Comp USA.
Yeah.
Best Buy was in its infancy kind of in those days, and they were all vying, and then Best Buy gobbled up everybody else, and here we are. Even Fry's doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, before I worked for the library, just before I worked for the library, I worked for Computer City. Or I take that back. I worked for Computer City, and then I actually worked for a time in a factory making auto parts for Jeep products. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I mean, it's Detroit. It's automotive city.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did parts for Jeep. The fascia, the inside of the car, the different parts. We'd press them out, and we have to buff them and inspect them. And the reason why I quit that job, I was like, one, I was driving all the way out to, I don't know, it was like 28-mile road. And I was tired of driving out from the city that long. The money was great, and you got paid weekly, actually. In factories, you would get paid weekly. The problem is that being a parts for the big three, if they get behind, you're going to get behind doubly or triply.
Hmm.
And so at one point, I think this was going into the Christmas season, they were like, oh, mandatory overtime. And we all know what mandatory overtime is here. Same thing. But it was on a scale of mandatory overtime. This is why I never complain about being mandated. One, I haven't been mandated because I volunteered to take it. But two, the mandatory overtime of a factory.
It's different.
No, no. What happened is they said mandatory overtime, no days off. And I was fine with that because we were getting paid every week. I'm a younger person. Yeah. So you're in your 20s and you're like, let's make money, right? So they were like, everybody has to work every day, no days off. So we catch up, right? So it was Sunday through uh, Saturday, Sunday through Saturday, Sunday through Saturday. I was fine with that. I was fine. Then they were like, we're not catching up to our quotas or minimums or whatever. So then they said, no days off. We were getting time and a half on Saturday, double time on Sunday. So we were making money. Yeah, right? Right? But then they said, you need to pick 3 days where you're going to work 12-hour shifts, no time off. So it was like Sunday through Saturday, but you had to pick Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to work mandatory 12-hour shifts, along with no time off ever. And then I was like, no. Money versus my peace of mind. And it's funny because I work 12-hour shifts, but at least, I get 3 days off here, at 12, 12, 12, and 4. But this was 8, 8, 12, 12, 12, 8, 8, 8, like, and no time off. And
So
I'm
let me,
sitting there pressing parts.
okay. So to me, I think this is a good, so now we've got your background. I, I'm, I'm still, our parts. Okay. Library, got it. Car parts, got it. You're in Austin. What makes you say, oh, I want to go be a 911 operator?
So, like I said, Computer City, I have all this computer knowledge. Then I go into the factory, which was random, but it was a nice little paycheck. But my peace of mind was worth more. Then at 96, I went into the library. And like I said, from 96 to 2016, I coasted for 20 years. And I was promoted several times, like I said, SLA to junior clerk to technical training associate. All of that, it was over a 20-year span. Um, and then I moved down to Austin because, like I said, didn't like the snow. And then I had to kind of bust down back to work to fit in, but the I wasn't losing any money. It was, and I still essentially was doing the same thing, just without the nice little name tag job description. But that's one of the reasons I said they were trying to create that same type of position. Um, they hadn't yet, but that's why they brought me in. And so I decided I'm going to apply for these position or what have you, and I didn't get it. It was a position of uh, assistant, like library assistant, like a manager, assistant manager. And I didn't get it, and it made me upset that I didn't get it. I'm like, I have 20 at this point, 25 years in library. What am I gonna really learn? What am I not doing that I'm not getting that particular position? So it made me a little upset. And one of my managers, actually the manager's manager, said, honestly, libraries are kind of a dead end um, in a lot of ways. He said, you could do so much more. And I don't know if it was like him saying that and a little bit of, at this point, I'm, late 40s, going into 50s. And I'm like, maybe it was a midlife crisis or what have you. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of working in the library. I've done it for, where's 20, at this point, 25 years, 26 years, uh, going into 27 years. And I'm like, I want to change up. And I saw, like I said, I'd worked for the city for, like, at this point, 6, 7 years now. So I um I said, well, let me stay with the city and let me see what is available. I was looking through and I was like, I don't know if someone told me or if I saw that at this point in 2023 that or the end of 2022, I think I applied at the end of 2022 and came in 2023, that uh, that the police department, they were hurting for 911 operators and dispatch.
Yes.
I think this was
Absolutely.
at the end of COVID. And
We were
so,
going through some things. Hurting is a
yes,
very,
right.
very, very kind and gentle way to say it. We were underwater.
We're
Would be more.
drowning. We're a dumpster fire. But yeah, right.
It really was. And anybody that's been listening to the show knows. I mean, we were operating at where we at or below 50%. I think
Below.
we were
Yeah.
below 50% of our 911
Yeah.
manpower, what is allotted to us. So yes, you answered. So you answered the call. Okay. Okay. You go through the rigmarole.
It
You
was
get
funny,
some.
real quick. It
Yeah.
was funny because I went through all this process, and it is a process to become a dispatcher 911. And I'm talking about the process to get through the application process, not the actual job. And it was a whole process. In that time, I was promoted to an assistant manager. So
Oh,
I was an assistant manager at my branch for about 3 months.
what?
When 3 months when APD, Austin Police Department, said, "We'd like you're a final candidate. We'd like to And then I was like, I I just got promoted. What should I do? And
Yeah.
that's when he said, libraries are a dead end. He said, you should go and do something different. Do the Austin Police Department. So I said, okay. And I went out. It's like, I mean, I was like, hey, you should have hired me about 2 years ago. I would have stayed. I wouldn't have made
Yeah.
the leap to Austin Police Department, but you did it. And then you waited, and then now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this leap of faith to Austin Police Department. But go ahead. What were you saying?
So you answered the call. Thank you. Because we were dumpster fire. Um, you got through the
The
six
gauntlet.
the yes, the that whole and anybody that's listening, they all know these processes are they're not fast. They often take months and sometimes even longer than 2 or 3 months. So now
Yep.
you get the call, you go do all the extra stuff, you're in the house, you're in the training, and you are you're done with the classroom because our agency does a month of classroom, and then you're out on the floor beginning the process of learning the job. Was there a point where you said, "What have I gotten myself into?"
Oh, that was immediate. Uh, I remember when we this is long before getting on the floor and even the on the job training. When they showed us all the screens, and, I'm a techie. Like I told you, I worked for Computer City. I was my family's tech guru. Still
Hmm.
am. Had to do remote tech support for my aunt recently while I was driving home from this job.
Okay, that's
Um,
impressive.
Hands free,
but
of course.
uh, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'm techie, what have you, and facilitated more than 1,000 different computer class. I'm the person, right? When I saw all those screens and I was like, all that tech jargon, I was like, what what am I doing? Why is this happening? I say, what a time to get a I said, why didn't I get a sports car instead of upend all of my years of computer? I'm like, why did I decide to have a midlife crisis into a new career path? What am I doing? And it was funny because the trainer said when they found out um, I was in libraries for 20, almost 30 years, 27 years, may as well round up, almost 30 years.
Hmm.
And they were like, why would you go to 911? It's like, shouldn't you like have been in 911 for 30 years and then go to the quiet life of libraries? So yeah, I would get a lot of that. Like Elizabeth, you all know, she was just dumbfounded. She was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what am I doing here?" So yeah, it was a culture shock. Um, I mean, now I look at all of this and it's funny after what 3 years it's become so old hat. But when you first see all those screens, you're like, it's like looking at hieroglyphics or something.
Like,
It's insane. It's a whole other language, but go ahead.
In regards to that whole other language, I think a lot of people are hesitant to put in applications at, working for 911 or dispatch because they'll see the movies or the TV shows where there's five, six, seven, eight screens in front of somebody. They're like, there is no way I can keep track of that. And then they hear from you, who is a tech guru yourself. Like you were even kind of shocked by it. But do you think that that is something that people should be so concerned about, or were you able to kind of pick it up? Do you think it's something you learn quickly because you're really immersed in it as soon as you start?
Well, it's like it's like anything. At first you're intimidated. And there's issue of the added weight of, yeah, these are life and death situations, literally. Okay. But so those screens are going to be the least of your concerns once you get it. And it's just like anything, it's juggling. It's a juggle of this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. Now, I have to say, when I first came in, my whole thing was I've worked with the public for 27 years. I don't want to work with the public in any capacity.
Oh,
I don't want to even hear them on the phone. So I went in as a dispatcher. And oh, wow. That was, I'm not going to say it was a failure because I learned many things that I try to utilize in my call taking.
mm,
But obviously, I didn't get through dispatching because I moved over to call taking. And that was definitely by the grace of God and by the grace of the training staff. Um, and Erica, who kind of coached me through my when I was very discouraged. She doesn't even remember because she's the guru.
I
She's the mother
really,
guru of the of uh, of our 911 team. And but I went to her and I asked. I was like, what am I doing? And she said, hey, she gave me encouraging words that kept me going. And I thank you for that, by the way. But so I make the move over from dispatching to call taking. And I honestly, I try to utilize the 27 or more years of essentially face-to-face customer service has now transitioned to
mhm.
over the phone customer service, which is what we're doing. It's just our customer service deals with life-threatening emergencies.
Hold on.
Um,
I need you. Hold on. I need you to say that again. Please say that again. Now, what happened?
our job is as call takers.
Hmm.
And we're dealing with customer service. At the end of the day, it's just our customer service deals with life-threatening emergencies.
Mhm.
And so I kind of bring that when I'm thinking about when I'm answering the phone. It's not just focusing in on the emergency, but you're you're dealing with how you're talking to people, how you're trying to extract information from them and get good information for the dispatch to impart to the officers. But at the end of the day, you're essentially, this is customer service. We're the front line for a person who may have never even thought to call 911. 911 was just a concept that they hear on the TV. It
Mhm.
wasn't something that they're going to deal with, and this is their first time dealing with it. And it's going to be on the worst, sometimes on the worst night of their life.
Thank you for joining us for part one of our two-part interview with LaWanda Felder, a 911 operator. Part two will continue next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.